Hello, thank you for stopping by. My name is Becky and this is Bex Reads, and today the Black Hat Book Coven is going to be sharing with you our witchy TBRs. Witchy books that we are looking forward to hopefully reading. Probably not for the book club because, you know, we only read one book a month and there's a lot of witchy books out there that we want to read. Some of them I own physically. I will save those toward the end. The rest are upcoming releases, books I just have had on my radar. I'll share them all with you. I'm not going to go too far in depth about what these books are about. I'm just going to give you like the thing that caught my eye about them. Some of them, that's just going to be the cover, to be honest. The first book I'm going to share with you is A Harvest of Hearts, which comes out on March 4th of 2025. I actually have an arc of this book, and this is more witch adjacent than full witchy. It's got a sorcerer character in it. But sorcerer, witch, you know, they're in the same wheelhouse, right? So this is a cozy fantasy romance about a butcher's daughter and a befuddling sorcerer and his talking magical cat. And together they unlock some secrets in their dark kingdom. I saw this cover, I thought it was cute. I saw the word talking cat, and that's pretty much what sold me. Next up is another witchy fantasy romance that I found. This one is already out. It is Tonight I Burn. This is about a coven of thorn witches who patrol the veil between life and death. And every night, one witch has to be burned at the stake to cross the veil. But they are supposed to come back the next morning. And one of these witches' sisters doesn't come back, so she burns herself to cross the veil, and there she encounters a rebellion and a handsome stranger. The rebellion and the meeting the handsome stranger sound pretty generic, but you know, I love fantasy romance, and if it's something witchy, chances are I'll enjoy it. Next up is one that I found scrolling through Instagram. It is called The Neighborhood Witch, and this is a contemporary paranormal second chance at love between a recent widower and his neighbor who just happens to be a witch. So it sounds cute. I'm willing to give it a go. It appealed to me. Next up, I have one that has been on my radar for the last couple years. It is another fantasy romance. It is called Within Her Magic. This is a dark witch wolf shifter fantasy romance. I believe the triggers had some like dubious consent, non-consent in it. So this might be a little bit darker than what I personally like, but it's witchy. So I'm gonna give it a try at some point. Next up on my TBR is Spookily Yours, which is a spicy Halloween themed rom-com between a witch and her demon cat familiar who's under a curse. I'm assuming that this is a romance between her and the cat once he turns back into a man, and not her and the cat, because that would be really fucking weird. But you never know with books these days. Next up is another one releasing in the new year. This one releases on January 14th, I believe. And it is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. I have never read a Grady Hendrix book, and you know, if one is gonna get me to read it, it's gonna be about witchy aspects somehow. I do like this cover. I think it's really cool. And, you know, I saw witchcraft in the title and I was like, okay, I'm interested. This apparently is about a group of wayward girls who are sent to a private home where everything they do is controlled until one of them gets hold of a book about the occult, and it gives them their own power for once in their lives. Another one releasing in the new year releases on February 11th, and this is a young adult called Skin. This cover caught my eye, and I saw in the description that it is based on Caribbean folklore. So this is about a female main character who every new moon she sheds her skin to become a fireball witch who must suck the essence out of people in order to sustain herself. And I'm assuming another young woman who also isn't comfortable in her skin. It might have something to do with finding yourself. I'm not typically a YA enthusiast when it comes to contemporaries, but because this has a witchy aspect and a little bit of fantastical to it, I'm hoping that I like this. Another one releasing next year on February 18th is Wooing the Witch Queen. This cover caught my eye. This is a gas lamp fantasy about three witches who have formed an alliance to save their world, I guess. And I want to say maybe it's going to be a series following each witch, because from the synopsis it only talked about one witch. And it mentioned a romance between the evil sorceress queen and the nerdy librarian sorcerer who she hires. So that just sounds freaking adorable. Next up on my Witchy TBR is another one coming out in the new year. This one comes out February 25th and is called Green Teeth. And the cover caught my attention, and then I saw that it was blurbed by T. Kingfisher. I don't usually pay attention to like author blurbs or whatever, but T. Kingfisher's name did catch my attention. This is about Jenny Greenteeth, who is almost like this swamp witch creature. She's got like sharp teeth. She's green. She has never met a human until a witch is thrown into her lake. And then these two have to band together on this magical quest to defeat the darkness that is threatening Jenny's lake. So I think this might have like a lesbian romance in it as well. This has a fairy tale vibe to it, and it just sounds like something I would really enjoy. On March 11th, I found Rose of Jericho. This is a supernatural horror set in 19th century New England, and the blurb says, "Ghosts and ghouls are the least of a witch's problems." So that sounds something I would enjoy. I do tend to like the books that are set in like the 19th century New England, Massachusetts. This is a horror, which isn't something I typically read, but if it's witchy, chances are I will enjoy it. On May 6th, The Bell Witches caught my eye, mainly for this cover. This sounds like a typical witchy story. It is about a young woman who goes to live with her aunt and grandmother after her parents die in this mysterious house that is harboring some family secrets. But you know what? It's witchy, and that's all I care about. Then back on January 7th, I found A Verse for Witches. This is about a mercenary with a sword that sings and a witch who walks in dreams who have a one-night stand, and then they reconnect later only to find out that they are prophesized to be part of one another's lives, but watch a kingdom fall. So it sounds interesting. Next up on March 4th, I have an arc of this one, is Spells, Strings, and Forgotten Things. This is about a young witch who is cursed with sacrificing memories in order to cast spells, and she must decide how much she is willing to give up in order to save her town. So small town vibes. It sounds like a pretty generic plot, but who cares, right? Witchy. On March 18th, I found The Bane Witch, and this cover caught my eye because it gave thriller vibes, and I don't read a lot of witchy thrillers. Anyway, this is about a woman who fakes her own death to escape a volatile marriage when she discovers that her penchant for poison is because she is a Bane Witch. And Bane Witches are women who ingest deadly poisonous plants and use that magic to rid the world of evil men. So this sounds like a get it girl type of story, but I'm intrigued because I've never read a witchy thriller. This next one is one that is already out, and I've had it on my interested TBR list for a long time. It is called Bewitched, and I remember it catching my eye because I thought in the synopsis it said something about renovating a cemetery, and then I went back and reread it, and apparently my blind ass confused cannery with cemetery. Maybe I just wanted it to be renovating a cemetery, but it's not. It is a romance between a sea witch who is renovating an abandoned cannery to turn into an art museum / tea bar, and the romance she has with one of the wolf shifters on the construction crew. So it sounds cute despite the fact that she's not renovating an abandoned cemetery. And then hopefully this book releases on April 29th because it has been on my Witchy TBR, I want to say, since last December. And that is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sanju Mandana. I read The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, absolutely loved it. I can't even remember the synopsis of this. I didn't even bother writing it down, but this book has been on my TBR forever, so I don't care what it's about. I'm gonna read it because I think the cover is cute. It's bound to have found family. It's bound to be a little bit cozy. That's all I care about. Now that I've shared with you all of the witchy ebooks that are on my TBR, let me share with you the physical ones that I actually have on my TBR shelf. First up, I have this like historical series that I picked up at a used bookstore. I have no idea what it's about, okay? It was a 3-book series, had witch in the title. That's literally all I cared about. Anyway, it is the Sun Witch. The other two are like the Moon Witch and the Star Witch or something like that. I just brought up this one. 3 Sisters Witches. but that's all I know, really. And I don't read a lot of like witchy historical romances. Most of them are just like historical in nature, but it's very rare that I read an actual historical romance. So we'll see one of these days. Then I have one that my sister gave to me for Christmas, I believe, and it is A Letter to Three Witches. Again, I have no freaking clue what this book is about. I want to say it's a young adult, but I could be wrong about that. I think this is nonfiction, which is a rarity. It's also a chunker. But I do know that the audiobook is available through my library, and again, it's one that my sister gave me for a holiday, and it is The Witches. Suspense, Betrayal, and Hysteria in 1692 Salem. So I'm assuming it's going to give me more information about the Salem witch trials than I already know. Would I ever pick this for a book club book? Absolutely not, because it's so damn chunky. And it's nonfiction. But, you know, I'm interested. I do find the Salem witch trials interesting. I know a lot about the Salem witch trials, but maybe there's something in here I don't know. Next up, I think this is a young adult. I'm pretty sure it is. It is The Hedge Witch of Fox Hall. I actually got this when I went to a Polycon. I met the author. This just sounds super cute, super cozy, and I'm down for it. And lastly, I have Night of the Witch by Sarah Rosh and Beth Revis. I picked this up at Barnes & Noble on one of their like 50% hardcover sale days. I believe this is a witch hunter romance, which is why I picked it up, because I do like that dynamic. And that is it. Those are all the books on my Witchy TBR. When will I get all of these witchy books read? I have no freaking clue. There's always new ones coming out. But I do love a good witchy book, as is obvious because I run the Black Hat Book Coven. Speaking of which, I will have all of the girls' channels tagged down below, as well as all of their videos linked, so you can go check out what is on their witchy TBRs, Kristin, Jackie, and Laura. And let me know down in the comments, what is a witchy book on your TBR? I am always looking for more witchy book suggestions. But if you don't feel like commenting that, but would like to let me know that you made it to the end of this video, could you leave me a black cat emoji? And with that, thank you so much for watching this Witchy TBR, and until my next video, see you witches later. Bye!